I want to share this with you because I believe we have to go to this next step. So you can be seated this morning, but stay with me. Just stay up here. Just stay up here. She's okay to stay up here, right? Just stay up here. In revival, there's always going to be rivals that come against us. There's going to be things that come against us to make us feel like we shouldn't take part in it or that it's never going to happen. So today, I want to share those with you. Now, I was on the way in this morning, and the Lord showed me something, and He showed me a difference between a rival and an opposition. So an opposition's easy, right? We know that they're against us or whatever. A rival will do more than just be against you. A rival will get into the very soul of who you are and deter you the other direction. Okay, now what I mean by that is when a rival comes against you, it could be subtle. My rival may be something that's across state. Like for instance, I'm a big Auburn football fan, okay? I aged 10 years yesterday watching that game. But I'm a big Auburn fan, and I can't stand Alabama. So you people watching right now that are Roll Tiders can't stand you in Jesus' name, all right? I'm joking, come on. No, for real. So we can't say we're rivals, okay? We're rivals. We do everything we can. There was an Alabama kid, one of these little rednecks, listen, poisoned our big oak tree in the middle of in the town of Auburn and came close to killing the entire population because he hates Auburn. Seriously, he went to jail and everything. It's pretty sad, right? But that's a rival. It's underhanded. He didn't let anybody know he did it. He just went over there and put some poison in it, and seriously, look it up. He did that. That's what we do in the South when we don't like you, evidently. But that's a rival, okay? We know we're oppositions, but we're also rivals. We're also going to do everything we can to make you feel a certain way, to make you go a different direction that I don't want you to go, okay? Stay with me, please. All right, today I want to give you revival rivals. I want to give you rivals of revival that will come. They will be personal things that you will need God to help you through, and others will be on the surface, okay? So number one, the rival of denial. This rival will say, I don't need revival. I don't need it. One of the biggest hindrances to revival is an attitude of denial. The church of Laodicea had this attitude, and they had a need for nothing. Look at Revelation 3:17. Jesus said this, you say I am rich, I have acquired wealth, and do not need a thing, but you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. Revival is not a simple cut and dry idea. Revival is different for different people. We get this idea that it's going to be one of these things where we'll all know it's here. And it's like, poof, there it is. Like God is just going to dump it in this cookie cutter frame and say, this is what revival looks like because it's always looked like this. No, wait a minute. It's different for everybody. Everybody in this room has different personalities, and God works within your different personality. A plant that is starting to wither and gets watered and comes back is what? Revived, right? So revival is awakening something that's dead, something that's on the borderline of dead. Put it that way. God is able to do what needs to be done no matter what level of revival you need. Some people need smelling salts to come back. Others need defibrillators to come back. Some people need to be slapped in the face. God can and will do it, and He is a custom God that will customize your need. I love that about Him. He doesn't say, okay, you need this, so do you. He says, you need this a certain way, and you need this a different way. I am just customizable enough to where I can make it fit in your issue, and in your situation, and in your world. So who needs revival? If your name is on this list, you need revival. Tom, Jerry, I'm kidding. A person who has simply gotten cold. A person who has ended up in the dirt of sin. A person who attends church but doesn't engage in worship or community. A person that has completely left the church. A person who has just gotten saved, and someone who has been in the church for many years. The point is, we all need it. Everybody needs it. Number two, the rival of doubt. The rival of doubt. This rival will say, I don't deserve revival. It's not for me. I don't deserve it. Revival is a divine movement of God in his divine nature. One of the most effective lies of Satan is that you can't receive it. It's that you can't. Whether it's because you don't think you deserve it or because God doesn't want to move in your life. Whatever the reason, you are believing a lie. God does want to move in your life. God does want to wreck you. He wants to mess you up, and he wants to take you from where you are now to where he wants you to be. He wants to. He's got that desire, but the rival of doubt will come in and say, I don't deserve it. It's for other people. It's not for me. The more you listen to lies, the more you will believe them. How many people as a kid told a lie, and eventually the more you lied about it, the more you believed it? No, really, I do have an imaginary friend. Her imaginary friend came to church with her this morning. Can a dead root come to life? In Job 14, look at this. 14, verse 7 through 9. At least there is a hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again. And if its new shoots will not fail. Its roots may grow old in the ground and its stump die in the soil. Yet at the scent of water, it will bud and put forth shoots like a plant. At the scent of water, at the scent of the Spirit of God, our spirits will come to life. At the very scent of it. What about the bones of Elisha? 2 Kings chapter 13, verse 20 and 21. If you listen to Elevation Worship, you've heard rattle and you've sung this. But listen, Elisha died and was buried. Now Moabite raiders used to enter the country every spring. Once while some Israelites were burying a man, suddenly they saw a band of raiders. So they threw the man's body into Elisha's tomb. When the body touched Elisha's bones, the man came to life and stood on his feet. Nothing and no one is out of the reach of God's hand. Doubt will cause you to miss out and dismiss a move of God. Number 3, rival of deflection. Rival of deflection. This rival says, I don't need revival as bad as other people do. One of the most frustrating attitudes is comparing spirituality. God can show up and move and do great things, but if you're worried about other people, you're going to miss out. Rival is a church-wide possibility, but only after it becomes a personal reality. I'm going to say that again. Revival is a church-wide possibility, but only after it becomes a personal reality. It has to be real to you. If each person will focus on their own spiritual walk with God, revival can happen. But if you play the comparison game with other people and think others need it more than you do, you're the one that needs revival. This thinking will make us like the Pharisees, in which Jesus really tells us not to be like. Number 4, the rival of delay. I don't want revival right now. I don't want it right now. God is patient, and your procrastination will hold back his hand from your situation. People know they need revival, but they also know it will drastically change their lives, and it scares them to death. It will absolutely change you. I don't know how many people I've talked to about Jesus, just salvation, just making that first step. And they said, it's not for me right now. One day I will make that decision. And what they're saying is, one day on my deathbed, right before my time here is up, I will make that decision. Problem is, you don't have that. You're not guaranteed that. For some people, revival is seen as something that will cramp their lifestyle. It definitely will. And it should. It should cramp your style. It's your style that's the problem. It's my style that's the problem. When a lack of spiritual urgency is evident, we will find ourselves in a dangerous place. Spiritual urgency keeps us alert. And in the world we live in today, we need to be alert. The revival of delay shows up. The rival of delay shows up. We are not concerned about the time spent walking in the flesh, the sinful lifestyle. We're not concerned with the days lived without prayer, the long-term effects of every decision or choice that we make right now, the possibility that this may be our last opportunity. We're not concerned with those things. when this rival comes into play. Number 5, the rival of defiance. I don't want revival. I don't even want it. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 5 and 6. Why then have these people turned away? Why does Jerusalem always turn away? They cling to deceit. They refuse to return. I've listened attentively, but they do not say what is right. No one repents of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Each pursues his own course, like a horse charging into battle. A person that doesn't want revival is worse off than the other 4 categories. That means they know they need it, but they don't want it. Have grown comfortable being backslidden, being cold, being carnal. It's a terrible place to be in. The great thing about it is we serve a God that says you don't have to stay there. Proverbs 14:14 says, the backslider in his heart shall be filled with his own ways. God is the Redeemer. He's a revivalist. He's the one who can take us from our current condition to the one of redemption. We just have to let him. I believe a step that we have to go in order to experience revival in our church right here in Rapid City. We have to face these things. We have to face these rivals that come against us. We all have dealt with these at one point in our life. And I would venture out to say a lot of people in this room right now, matter of fact, I know it, a lot of people in this room right now, you're dealing with some of these today. But you just refuse to acknowledge it. And like me, you're stubborn. We have to admit it. What's the first step? Admitting you have a problem, right? We have to admit and face these things head on if we expect God to move and to do something in our lives. This is what I want to do this morning. I went through this pretty fast today. But I don't want to go through this next part fast. I want to challenge you today to ask yourself a question. And you're going to think, you're probably thinking right now, ask myself, which one am I? No, that's not the question. Ask yourself this question. Why do I come to church? Why am I here this morning? Why do I even come? Because see, when you can answer that question, then you can be honest with yourself about whatever it may be. I come to church because I feel like I'm needed to serve somewhere. Wrong answer. I come to church because it's what I'm supposed to do. As a Christian, I'm supposed to go to church. Wrong answer. I come to church because my friends are there. Wrong answer. You got 6 other days to see them. I come to church because it makes me feel better about myself. Wrong answer. Here's the right answer. I come to church because I need God to change me. I've been saved for 2 months. I need God to change me. I've been saved for 40 years. I need God to change me. We're in a generation right now who's never seen a move of God. It's never seen one. There are generations in this room today, you have seen it. So what do? We have to show this new generation what a move of God looks like, but more importantly, what it looks like to experience it. To get to that place of encounter. How do we do that? What if this younger generation comes to some of the older generations and say, how do you experience that? How did you do it? Do you have an answer for them? Because the only answer is this: seek God at every minute I have, with everything I have, and believe that He is going to show up in the middle of my situation. I was reading this story yesterday, and I went back and forth about sharing this. I'm going to share it anyway. Smith Wigglesworth Amazing man of faith. Just if you've heard stories about him, crazy stuff. Smith Wigglesworth was asked by this local pastor, hey, will you go to this lady's house who was sick? If she would go with him to pray for her. Smith said, sure, I'll go. So they go and they walk into this room. And you got to understand, you got to be in tune with the voice of God to do things that Smith Wigglesworth did. You better hear from God. So he goes into this room and a sick lady, she's sick. She's laying there, and beside her bed was about 40 or 50 pill bottles sitting beside her. I understand medication's needed, I get it. And I'm not saying, don't read into this, but I want to make a point. He goes into this room and he looks at this lady laying there. And she looks up and she goes, so you guys have come to pray healing for me. Smith Wigglesworth looks at her and goes, I haven't. She kind of just takes back and he goes, you like being sick. Until you get to the place where you don't like your current state, there's no healing for you. And he walks out of the room and gets in the car and waits for the pastor to come back out. You better hear from God, right? That night, they had a prayer meeting. This lady walks into that prayer meeting, and God healed her that night. The reason I tell you that story is because sometimes we get in this place where we like our current situation so much that we won't give it up to God. We won't let God do it. And what if God looks at us and goes, you like sin too much. I can't do anything about it because you won't let me. You like that lifestyle too much. I can't do anything about it. Who knows? But I do know this. God is faithful and he always has been. And he loves us right where we're at. And he wants to move in our situation, even if it don't look the way we think it should look like.